Terry's booting up. We started this project maybe 3.5, almost 4 years ago with this concept, and it's something that we've felt like we've needed but not knew how to do. In that process of preparing this, past District Governor Terry Weaver volunteered to write a request for proposal. He wrote that request for proposal. It's incredibly detailed, very specific in its aims and outcomes and what must be accomplished. We started to receive some replies back from those requests for proposal. The highest I think we saw was in the $160,000 range. The group that we're working with came in at $20,000, a little over $20,000, and they are the DAC-DB folks. We chose to go with the DAC-DB folks, and we've been working for them for over a year now. Terry has marshaled them through that process. So not only did he write the RFP, he helped us evaluate the respondents and then helped us choose the best candidate. And now he's working with that group to help them bring it on. So I think we owe past District Governor a great debt of gratitude and appreciation. And I thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Bill. Just to clarify, the CART contribution portal is a standalone application. It is not part of DAC-DB, although it was built by the same team. So as a result, we have some interesting crossovers. For example, all of you are able to log in the first time into the CART portal using your DAC-DB login. At that point, then, we have our own administration of access levels and so forth within the DAC-DB portal. So we manage all of that once the initial login is made. So I'd like to just, first of all, talk a little bit about why this seemed like a good idea. As Bill mentioned, this idea surfaced about 4 years ago. And one of the things that's happened, and organizations do this over time, particularly successful ones, as we begin to expand into multiple districts, multiple zones, now outside Zone 33 and 34, we stuck with this kitchen table sort of business model. And as a result, it just started getting out of hand in terms of the number of heartbeats used in handling money and record keeping. And frankly, handling money and record keeping is not terribly well done by humans. It's much better done by machines, which is why that's the way most people do it. But it also limits our reach to districts that have CART chairs. Tiffany's foray into the upper Midwest is a whole lot easier to support if we don't have to worry about a district having to come up with a CART chair to funnel those funds through. We also realize that we as CART leadership have a decided lack of instrumentation on where our support base is. We don't know, for example, whether in any given district half of the clubs are giving a whole lot of money, or most of the clubs are giving not much money, or A, B, C. We have no idea. It's the equivalent of flying with no altimeter, no airspeed indicator, and no compass.
It's no fun doing that.
So what are we doing? So what are we doing and how? Well, first of all, and this is important to you as CART leaders, both at the CART staff and volunteer level and at the district CART chair level, we are not changing the way CART basically does business. The concept of people emptying their pockets of loose change at the meetings is same old, same old. Now, of course, we'll take bigger folding money. We'll take IRA distributions, but at the core of this, part of what makes this thing work is a Rotarian's identity with those blue buckets. However, what we have built here is a method where clubs do all the data entry for us when they transfer the money. Those two things happen one and the same. And the conversations we had that were interesting just before we signed on here were about, hey, I heard about this contribution, I heard about that contribution. I want you to understand that the CART portal books that contribution at the moment that person in the club clicks enter. Before we even see the money in our checking account, be it credit card or EFT, it hits our books. So it is literally real time, and we're talking milliseconds here. So we're going to let a machine do all the counting, and we're going to provide, since district CART chairs won't be handling all this money, they need some visibility of how their district is doing. So we'll provide online reports anytime, any place, to all concerned. And all concerned are basically on a need-to-know basis. A CART chair will be able to see anything and everything across their district. A division chair, which would have 6, 8, maybe 10 Rotary districts, they'll be able to see all those. And of course, the CART executive team will be able to see the global view. Now, the user authentication is through DACDB initially, and then we do the administration of that downstream. Some of the benefits to CART. First of all, this is, as I mentioned, real-time self-service report. Anytime you hit the CART portal, you're seeing what happened within the last couple of seconds and anytime before that. And you're seeing it for those areas and districts and zones that you're responsible for. It would be whoever makes the transfer. If that's a treasurer, that's who that would be.
Okay, all right, go ahead.
Whoever would have written the check be the same person that does the electronic transfer or the credit card transfer. But when they do that, we see it attached to their club immediately and rolling up into their district total. So we'll be able to support CART clubs one of. I mean, if we have a CART club in some district in India decide that they want to support CART, we can handle that. We don't need anybody in between them and us. We also added the goal setting option for clubs. As you know, the Rotary Foundation and most charitable organizations are huge on goal setting, which CART has not been, and for some real good reasons. So this is really optional. If your district is big on goal setting, if some of your clubs are big on goal setting, we provide that option, and then we allow them to track their performance to their own goals. And then, of course, this releases the CART chairs from counting and accounting. We won't need for people to create their own spreadsheets, maintain their own spreadsheets. We're not going to do that anymore. What it does is provide more time to actually do the mission, which is out promoting CART to the clubs. So here's the rollout plan. Starts with, well, actually, there was a prequel to this, and that is for the past 2 months, we have had nearly a dozen individual clubs that I just sent out emails and asked people if they'd be interested in participating. We've had individual clubs actively using this portal, making transfers in sort of a beta test group. And what we learned from that, first of all, is we had some problems. We fixed those up. We also learned that it takes almost zero training of a club on how to do this. This is so much like what anybody does in their electronic banking or any other funds transfer mechanism that they use, that people have just got this stuff figured out now, particularly those admin and finance professionals that are usually in these roles in the clubs. What we'll do following today is we'll essentially send an email invitation to the clubs to participate. Now, we need this backed up and promoted by you as CART chairs, but we're not asking you to go out and do the rollout. We'll send that directly out to presidents and presidents-elect, since we're right at that transition between years. Same thing for treasurers and treasurers-elect. In some cases, those are the people that do the transaction. And of course, to the extent that we know them, to the extent that clubs have identified their CART chairs and those have rolled up in DACDB, we'll be able to communicate with those folks directly. Questions or support would come to me. I am the designer of this application. I've worked hand in hand with the developers at DACDB to build it, and that's the way we'll handle the support. I don't expect there to be a lot of that, frankly, but there will be things that don't look or work exactly like you think they ought to, and we're fielding something brand new for the first time. So if there's something that you need help with, don't hesitate to reach out and connect with me. And then we'll offer online. Yes.
Half of the country is on Club Runner. They don't use DACDB. Mm-hmm. So what will maybe I'll be jumping ahead of myself, but we can't see anything that they do. I can't communicate with them a lot of times unless I go through Facebook. So they don't use DACDB. This isn't DACDB. This is the CART portal. So they can log in and create their own identity in the CART portal, and we can connect them up to a district and a club. Even though they use Club Runner. Okay. Doesn't depend on DAC at all. Now, in Zone 33 and 34, we'll largely use DAC as our communication mechanism as we
we presently do.
Right.
But where we have these, you know, other vendors involved, Club Runner and a handful of others, you know, we'll still have to do the best we can, identifying who those folks are and communicating with them through whatever channels available to us.
Okay.
But I want to make this point one more time. This is not DACDB. This is a standalone app. It's got its own identity management, and so anybody on the planet can create an identity, and then we open them up to whatever level of access they deserve with respect to our portal.
Terry?
Yes.
Terry? This is
Yes.
Susan, District 7570, Virginia. I have 83 clubs, and the timing of this is absolutely perfect because our district governor-elect is having a PETS 2 training this coming Saturday, and this is the best opportunity I will have to let them know about this. So I'm really excited about it. I actually did go in and look at it yesterday, and I'm really excited about it. So, you know, I got in and I had a chance to look around. I didn't make a donation, but I will do that. I think it's great, and I know our district treasurer, Jim Ridenauer, is jumping up and down for joy. So I think it's great. So yeah, 83 clubs, so woohoo!
Great. Well, the people that have had to do this work, I mean, you know, I'm doing all my banking online, I'm depositing my checks online, and paying my bills online. And when something requires an envelope and a stamp, it's just a real pain. And the clubs that have beta tested it, they're just wild over it. You know, all those envelopes, all those stamps, all those checks gone, and they're pretty happy with it.
Well,
so
yeah,
as all of you,
and we have a mix too. I know here at the lake we've got the retired group, and they still carry pocket change, and the cups have been a big sell with the coins. But on the other hand, I've got clubs up in the north, in Northern Virginia, and our district governor doesn't even carry cash. So I'm looking at him thinking, oh crap, I need a new day here, you know. So yeah, you're right.
Great. So the login is mycartfund.org, and of course we'll link this to the CART website. But this is a standalone URL, mycartfund.org, and most, if not all of you, have been on there already. I do want to offer this disclaimer, folks. This is brand new software right out of the box. This was hand built by two guys, one in South Carolina and one in Denver, and so it's not going to work bulletproof. It's not going to work flawlessly at the outset. If we hit a bump, we'll fix it, and just let me know what that is. You have my contact information.
Well, now,
so let's start with the, yeah.
This is Angus. If you got a guy from South Carolina, it's got to be good. Sorry about that.
Okay.
I've worked in it, and Terry, you know this. I've worked in it, and I tell you, this is the answer. This is the answer to raising
Thank you.
tons of money. It took, well, I'm ignorant, and I'm 72, so you know I'm still trying to figure out what a computer is. But if I can get in and do it,
what's your point, Angus? What's your point?
Anybody can do it if I can do it, Norm.
This is a tough room.
It is. The great thing about it is you can go in and sort contributions by district. So at some point, I'm going to be sending out reports of funds that are sent to me, and then there's going to be on my report there's going to be a line item where these districts are using the portal, and I'll just put the total down, because if they want it, they go in and get it anytime they want to.
Anytime.
I mean,
They can get the detail themselves. Yeah.
And this is going to work me out of a job. I'm just so sad about that.
Yeah, speaking as somebody who just had to recreate 5 years of 83 clubs worth of deposits, yeah, hallelujah.
Bless your heart, Susan.
No, this is going to be, if we could roll this sucker out and get people to use it, $1 million is going to look like chump change.
Yeah. And most of that will depend on the speed at which we make this transition will depend on the CART chairs themselves. Now, we have a way, and I'll show you, we have a way to still handle a check. If you get a check, you don't have to send it back. We can handle that and enter it literally right there at your desktop, and then, you know, put it in the bank like you always have. But what we want to do is, when that happens, email the club back and send them a link and say, hey, next time you send me something, do it this way, and, you know, take my heartbeats and your stamps out of the picture. Now, I'll point out right down here at the bottom of the login screen, if you are coming in from a DACDB district with a DACDB login, you come in through this current user mode, but you can also create an account from scratch with this new user button over here. So that's the way people in non-DAC districts, club runner districts, and other places using other things would do that. So what I want to do is flip over to, let's take a look at something live here. Okay, we're in the CART portal. This is the home page that it opens up to after your login. And I want to point out, I am actually Beth Padgett today. I'm impersonating Beth because she has the same district access level as a DGE that a CART chair would. So what you'll see on the screen is exactly what you CART chairs would see. Now, people with multi-district access and that sort of thing, division chairs and that sort of thing, we'll have some more buttons on the screen, and we'll cover that at another time. We don't have time to cover all the possibles today. But I wanted to call your attention to this little simple navigator over here on the left. This thing is not very complicated. And so we start with reports. Let's start with the end in mind. Take a look at what this looks like from the back end. And I'd like to start with the club contribution history. Now, what you'll notice is this opens to your own club and your own district. And I note up here also that it opens up to the CART year, which is now the Rotary year, thankfully. So this is 2019-20, and this is the Greenville Club, of course, my club. And you can, on the other hand, switch that, since you're district chairs, you can switch that up to all clubs. You can see every club in the district. And then this is a neat little radio button sort over here. It actually rolls them up by club. So these are the beta test clubs. Golden Strip Sunrise, Greenville helped us out with this, as did Lancaster and the Reedy River Greenville Club. So this is you notice these are individual transactions, date stamp, time stamp, and the actual dollars and cents in the transactions themselves. So this is something you drill down into more in a sort of a troubleshooting mode, or if you're trying to figure something out after the fact. Normally what you do is you come over here to the sort of the gold standard report, which is the CART Club Management Report. And the Club Management Report for your district chairs, now if you were a club chair, you'd see only your club. But for district chairs, what you see is all of the clubs. Scroll all the way down here. And you'll notice that we have quite a bit of data across the top here. The current year, if there's a contribution this month, which in the case of it's May, so we won't see any monthly contributions. We'll see year-to-date contributions. Greenville's run quite a few transactions across this. And then you'll also see last year's history. So you've got in every view a current year and the prior year. You'll also notice that we've got the club head counts over here. So we actually do this per capita calculation on the fly. So in the case of Greenville, we've got enough money in there that it's starting to roll up into a per capita calculation. I also entered a goal for Greenville, and we're 13.1% to that goal with funds that have been transferred so far.
Harry,
You'll also notice that yes.
when, as of what date is that head count?
That head count is July 1. And that head count doesn't move, just like the Rotary Foundation. That head count's locked on July 1
Okay.
and carries through the year.
That's what I've trained my district to. Okay.
If you got more members, it doesn't hurt you. If you lose members, it doesn't help you. Doesn't change the denominator. Then you can roll back to prior years, and for those clubs and districts that gave it to us, we've got prior years going back all the way to 15, 16, 16, 17.
That's
and
incredible.
You'll notice again, with these prior years, you'll notice again the club size now using this July 1st, past July 1st club size, and that calculates those CART per capitas far back in there. Now I want to show you the club management report, and that's the club management report. Let's talk about the goal setting. This, I think, will be very interesting. If we can get clubs to actually play, they can set their goals, and this goal setting process is built around something that District 7750 has been done for quite some time, which is let's give people some valid information by which they could actually set a goal. So let's show them the last several years of full year contributions that going through up through 15, 16. And then we show them, I'm sorry, I'm back in that prior year. Let me get to today, 1920. Okay, there we go. So 1819 is the most recent full prior year. Then we also don't require them to do any math. We show them the best prior year, and then we do the per capita calc for them. Okay, how easy would that be to set a goal? Notice the Set My Club Goals button up here. Now you can get the same place from over here, the My Club Goals button, but since we're district chairs, we have access to all of them. So here's my club goal, and what you'll notice here, for example, is let's pick Golden Strip Sunrise. Let's see if they set a goal. Yeah, they did. Let's find one that didn't. Yeah, Fountain Inn. Okay. So for Fountain Inn, this is the CART history. Their best prior year was $400, and that best prior year per capita was almost $15. Okay. So I'm saying, we've been able to do $15 a head before. You know, maybe we could do something like 17. Again, we're not asking anybody to do any math. Click the calculate button and my club goal becomes $459. And if I click save, which I'm not going to do, that would save Fountain Inn's goal at $459. Of course, you can then finger in, you say, well, let's just round that up to 500. You can finger in 500, and that's the goal that will actually be established in the CART portal. So let's go back to, that is the club goal setting report.
Thank you.
Then, of course, there is also a district goal setting roll-up. And this will get really interesting as if people start using this and doing it. This rolls up all the goals for all the districts. And then, of course, if you have district access to any of those, such as 7750, you can drill down into the district, back into the report we were in. Stop for any questions right there.
Terry, this is Geeta. I just want to know, how do you get to this page, the CART page on DACDB?
It is not in DACDB.
Okay.
The URL is mycartfund.org.
Okay, so you get it through there. Okay, thanks.
This is not part of DACDB. It was built by the same hands.
I see. Got it. Thank you.
Thank you, Geeta. Great question.
Got it. So let's go to, here's how this is going to look from a club point of view. Let's look at make a contribution.
When you're going there,
Now,
Terry, can you see the questions coming in, say, for example, from Bob?
No, I'm in screen show mode. I cannot see the, I can't see the chat.
All right.
But you can feed them to me.
Okay, very good. Bob Gross wants to know, can this report tie into Bernie Rodell's rainbow report? We might need more explanation on what that rainbow report is. So, Bob, if you can give us more information.
The answer is yes.
The answer to Bob is yes.
Yes, Bernie shared that with me. We use it as well in 7750, and that is a report built by Bernie from a scrape off of RI. If he wanted to add this in, he could do exactly the same thing, which is scrape one of these report screens. This is the way he does it now. He could scrape this report screen from DACDB using this Excel export right up here, and then drop it into a another section of the rainbow report. It's exactly the same strategy and built exactly the same way. And Bernie was kind enough to give me his rainbow report years back, and we've used it ever since ourselves.
Fantastic.
Real familiar with that.
Very flexible. Thank you for that question, Bob.
Terry, I sent you an email the other day and I asked How do we account for district funds that are not through a specific club, like the money that we collect at district conference or other ways? Is there a way to account for that on here? Like this past year.
I am so happy you asked.
Okay.
When we go into the Make a Contribution page, of course, up at the top is the amount. So, you know, we'll put in a number there. That would typically be a one-time payment, although we do allow for setting up recurring payments, perhaps from individual donors. And then we ask people to choose whether this is EFT or credit card. Now, the beta users have been overwhelmingly using EFT, and just to be clear, an EFT costs us 50 cents. So this $400 contribution costs 50 cents to bring across. I mean, not even a reasonable wage rate for the person doing the clicking.
You can't even buy a stamp for 50 cents anymore.
No,
So this
you can't
is
get
incredible.
a stamp for 50 cents.
The cost savings
So
here,
if
the
they-
heartbeat savings is just off the moon.
If they choose credit card, then we ask them to make another decision. Do you want to pay the fee, or do you want CART to pay the fee? And they can add in the convenience fee and we'll cover it on our end, or we'll deduct the convenience fee, which would mean that we just take a 3% haircut off of this when we allocate it to their club's contribution. They can have it either way. If they want to top it up with, let's say it was a $100 contribution, if they click this button, we'll make it 103 and we'll pay the fee on our end. If they don't want to pay the fee, that's fine, but we'll give them credit for $97 and we'll pay the $3 fee. Next section is borrowed from the existing PayPal site. Now, you recognize that this will replace that completely. So you can make a contribution in honor of someone, in which case we ask who that is, or in memory of someone, in case we ask who that is as well. Okay, then we get down to how we're going to do it. If it's an electronic checking or EFT, then we allow you to put in your routing number from your check blank and your account number. Everybody's done this before. And if you check this box, we'll remember it for you. Now, you wouldn't want to do that if you're doing it with your library, of course, but if you're doing it in your own office, you're typically, and you're protected by a authenticated login here, you're certainly welcome to do that. If you're nervous about that, don't check the box. Then we get down to the question that was just asked. The default concept of this is we're still collecting change in buckets. We're still transferring that to CART as a club. So normally this would be a contribution on part of the club. On the other hand, let's say we collected up a bunch of money at a district conference. Whomever has those conference funds and that conference account can just click this button and transfer it to us as a district contribution. Okay? In which case it wouldn't accrue to a given club. It would be basically on the district line on all the reports. There'd be a district line on all these reports, just as there is on the Rotary Foundation reports that you're very familiar with. Then we have people that would like to personally participate in CART, and that's great. We're not, changing to that business model, but we'll accommodate it. But what we'll also do is we'll keep track of that as a personal contribution, because frankly, if they send us over $250 in a year, they'd probably like to have a tax letter for that. So if you're making this as an individual contribution out of your own genes, either credit card or check, then you check this box. It will count with your club, but we'll also keep track of it on your account so that at the end of the year we can recognize, it may be one and the same. You may be transferring club funds one day, then you may set up a recurring contribution on your own, and we'll be able to keep those two separate. Either way, they'll both accrue to the credit of your club. Obviously, when you click submit payment, all these choices that you've made are done.
Jerry, I have a question.
Yes.
My name's Tom Fitzgerald. I'm a club chair for CART in Kernersville, North Carolina. And I'm also in the computer business, and I've got 3 monitors up here. And on one of them, I went into the mycartfund.org site. And how do we add on previous contributions from previous years for our club?
I have an import mechanism by which to do that, and if you will send me a spreadsheet with the years in columns and the clubs in rows, I need a spreadsheet with clubs in rows, years in columns, and preferably, or I'll have to add it, also with the club IDs. Sure.
Randy Nelson, Rotary District 6950. If I'm making a payment on behalf of another club, how do I recognize that club's name? Like, so if I did a presentation at one of the clubs in our district and whatever monies was raised at that meeting, and I'd like to make sure that that gets included, how do I give recognition to that club as contribution on this screen?
You're a district chair.
Yes, sir.
We'd have to drill down into that a little bit, but basically, I'll show you this in the back end. You can take any contribution that you'd make it on behalf of your club, and then you come into this back end contribution admin page, and you can actually move that contribution to a different club.
Got it. Okay, I get it. Thank you.
Now, that's also, we're running out of time here. That's also where you will do the contributions that are coming to you that you're now depositing and keeping track of. You'll still do the depositing if you get a check in your hand, but the way that'll work is you'll click this Add a Manual Contribution button up here on the right-hand side. Now, I clicked Contributions over here under Administration. This is not make a contribution, but this is for yourselves as administrators. And then when you click Add a Manual Contribution up here, it allows you to, and it doesn't really matter which user ID. I'll pick Beth since I'm logged in as her. And then for the club name, this is a type ahead. So you just start typing, and it'll pop all of the clubs in your district that that fit that text string. So let's pick, for example, Greenville Breakfast, and then we'll say they sent us a check for $225, and that was 226. That was check number 3467. It was a check, and the current order year defaults, of course, which you'd assume it would be for, and then you have room in here to put notes. When you click Save, we drop that into the portal as a contribution, despite the fact that you then take that check and put it in the bank locally, because Johnny Hilton's got this all figured out. Johnny will see this transaction in the portal, he'll see that check in the bank account, and he'll marry those up. So this is how you handle the checks that are coming in to your kitchen table still while we're in this walkover period, meaning that after today, we'll be doing all of our record keeping on the CART portal. You'll freeze your spreadsheets where they are, and then we'll import those to cover the first part of this year. We'll do the transactions through the portal from today on. You'll freeze whatever record keeping you're doing now at that point. Now, if you want to keep something on the side, that's okay. But if you will then send me your year-to-dates for your district, I'll push those all in one shot.
Fantastic.
Make sense?
It does, and it's incredible.
So, Shift F5, little screen share trauma here. Okay, so the transition plan is this. The records you've been keeping up to date for deposits you've made up to today, just saw those off, hold on to them, touch them up, and send them to me. I'd appreciate it if you would pull the club IDs in a column. Otherwise, I have to go find those and match them up. Enter any new deposits received from today on into the portal, just as we described, and through that, make a new, add a new contribution. And then if you'll respond to clubs sending checks, pointing them back to using the portal going forward, and keeping in mind that for most of District 33 and 34, these folks are DAC-DB users, they've got a DAC login, and they'll come in at whatever DAC access level they've got. So if it's a club treasurer, they'll come in at a 4. They'll come in at club-wide access. If it's a CART chair, they may or may not be a level 4. I can upgrade those if they don't have club-wide access. Then what we'll do quickly is we'll migrate the current PayPal contribution page over to the page that you just saw, where we allow them to make the memorials, where we allow them to make the honorariums, and where we allow them to make individual contributions that are tagged to them personally. And then in 30, 60 days, we'll see how it comes out and regroup. We have preloaded every district in the world. All the ones that we're not doing business with are turned off. Every district in the world is preloaded. We can turn them on one at a time.
This has been terrific, Terry. I'm excited. I'm more excited than I was when we started this process because this is even better than I'd hoped. So God bless you and thank you for all the wonderful work you've done to date. And you're still working at it. So bless you.